Hi, my name is William Hudson, and in this video I will be showing you how to do a medium fade with a regular box lineup. The quality of this video isn't the best, so please bear with me. The person you see in this video is my brother-in-law. He agreed to let me cut his hair for the duration of this video, which he usually does. The first thing to do is to set your blade to a 0. That means no guard on the blade, and the blade will cut as close to the skin as possible. From there, I will start using the 0 all the way around his head to get that baseline of how low or high the fade will begin. Once doing so, you want to make sure that you get every stray hair and make sure that the line is as even as possible all the way around the client's head. Some people like to have the line straight around, and some like a slight dip in the back. In this case, I will use a small dip in the back of his head. Cutting the hair over the ears is usually kind of tricky. So when you get to the ears, you have to kind of fold the ear over to get to the hair that's above it, so you don't cut the person's ear up. If you notice, I'm using kind of a flicking out motion because the hair is a little bit longer, so sometimes that's necessary to cut the hair that's hanging over. The client asked me to use a number 2 to be the longest point of the actual fade. The number 2 guard is about a ½ an inch thick, so the thickest point of his fade won't be very long at all. I am flicking in an upward motion so that the cut isn't too dramatic. As you can see, I personally like to use a comb or a brush every few seconds during the haircut. The reason I do that is because when I flick the hair up, it tends to stay that way. So when I comb it down, I'm bringing it back to its original position, and that way I can see my progress a lot clearer. I bring the 2 up to about the crown of his head to create that nice flush look all the way around. I will let this section of the video play a little bit longer so that you can see the progress of this second part of the haircut. He wanted the top point of his fade to be rounded out instead of pointed. This happened when I was doing the second step of the haircut with the 2 guard. So what I'm doing now is using the 0 again and eyeballing the strands of hair that are pointing up on the top of his head. I would not recommend this technique for a beginner because it is a very tedious and precise action. If you are not careful, then you can easily cut too much hair off of the top and the haircut will not come out as good as you want it to be. Now I'm using a 1.5. What a 1.5 is you basically you put on the one guard and you open the blade to a half. The blade is adjustable to a 0.5. So again, you put on the one guard and you adjust the blade to a half. And what you see me doing now is carefully, smoothly blending from the 2 to the 1.5 all around his head. So that's gonna make that smooth transition. It's gonna look nicer instead of going from a 2 to a 1. Once again, you see me using the comb to brush down the strands of hair that have been pushed up with the guard. I'm using the comb to push the hair back down so I could see my progress more clear. Now you can start to see, you can kind of start to see the gradual transition from the 2 to the 1.5. You can see that the hair, the farther down I go, the thinner his hair is going. And in the end, I'm gonna want to make the bottom line completely disappear and make it just look like his skin comes straight into his hair. Once again, when you're going over the top of the ear, you want to bend the ear down to make it easier on yourself to cut the hair that's on top of the ear, because if not, the ear is just going to get in your way and everything's just going to be awkward trying to make that cut. Now what I'm doing is, you didn't get to see, but what I did is I switched from a 1.5 to a 1. And like I said earlier, with the adjustment of the blade, all I did was close the blade down to a 0 so that it's just the one guard on top, so it makes it into a 1. And what I'm doing now is blending from the 1.5 to the 1 once again for that very smooth transition, so it's not bumpy and choppy. There's not lines going across his head looking like ledges. um, and I'm just going all the way across his head, trying to make it as smooth as possible. what you see me doing now is I just took the guard off, so now I'm back to the regular blade, and I opened it back up to a half and just barely flicking the very bottom of the hairline to make it blend a little bit easier, make it look like it's closer and closer to the skin. And after that, I'm going to close it just a little bit more until it looks like I said earlier, that gradual transition from skin to a little bit of hair all the way up. So like I said, the next thing I'll be doing is that, and you'll see that in a minute. So right now what you see me doing on his forehead is the lineup. What I like to do on the lineup, I like to start from the middle and work my way out, going with his natural hairline, not trying to do anything different, not trying to make it straight, not trying to make it curve anyway it's not supposed to. And as you can see, I'm using a different set of clippers. These clippers are smaller, they are sharper, and they're actually meant for doing this precise line work. That's what they're made for. And here in a couple seconds you will see the finished product. This is the finished product of the fade and the lineup.